Hey, that looks like a fish. Kind of. I bet they're laughing at us now. Cherubs out here chuckling. Oh, that's a cool looking crystal. Would you look at that thing? Yeah, I fell in the water again. Phone is out of the outer box. Got everything wet, even the drawers. So much for staying dry today, right? Man, we crazy. I mean, that's all I did was just take one little step on a rock. Second I lifted my left foot up in the air, whoop, here I go. Into the water that's 3.5 feet deep. When it's crystal, when it's quartz, you gotta take a look out here. No escaping it. Oh, I bet that's a pretty form. Yeah, it is. Tiny one though. Would have been a tiny bird point, size of my pinky finger. I'm not really looking today. I mean, I've been shown the light already. In a different way, that is. Hey, there's some degraded metal. Yeah, let me take a look at that. I mean, with all the rain that we got in the month of July, the days and days of constant rain, and the days and days of heavy rain. For some reason, this place didn't do jack. It did nothing at all. I mean, it probably got a foot deep. Slow moving waters. Not enough to manipulate anything, not tripulate anything. So I guess I'll take a quick look and get to my community service. Up the water. Up the creek. Come back with about 3 bags worth. That might be the only stuff I'm going to recover. Is nothing but a bunch of garbage. I could be wrong though. I'm just taking a quick peek. Just in case there was something that, we might have missed. They know what we like. These entities out here, the land out here, they know exactly what we love to find in places like this. It just depends, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, every creek is different, but there's always that one or two things that is the same in every single creek. It's always going to be the ancient history. We find one here, one there, whatever, 5 here, 5 there. But some creeks, I tell you what, some creeks are different than others. I mean, just like the city creeks. There's a whole crap load of stuff we love finding in them things right there. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, but this creek here, I tell you what, there's a good mix of everything in this creek. So who knows? It's probably not an artifact that they're wanting us to recover that's hanging on for dear life. So it doesn't get pulled out of here the next flood event where things get moved about, flipped over, covered up, destroyed, whatever. There's always that one single thing that they know we love collecting in this creek that we found before. What a difficult game it is, man. I mean, what is it though, man? Why don't they just tell us? Well, they can't just tell us because it takes away from the game of recovery. They know we're looking for a number of things out here. Even down to the semi-terminated crystals with a few faces on it. I don't know if I could spend the entire day looking at one single gravel bar, trying to find that one thing that's going to allow the waters to get buck wild out here, since they didn't get buck wild out here the entire month of July, you know? Yeah, but they know what's up. They know what's up. They know what goes down, what goes in places like this. And they know what we're looking to recover. Thank the Lord I've recovered the iPhone, though. You know, it's a shame we have come to a point in time these days where the most important thing in our possession is a little computer in our pockets, you know. I'm going to give you an idea about something. You know, you got these things called memes on the internet. You know, I sound like I'm not with it, but I imagine I'm just playing. And I spend a lot of time on that internet, you know, doing research and stuff like that. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you something. Why don't you make a meme like this? You know, not of me. You're going to say, we will, don't you worry. But why don't you do something like this, like a before and after meme that speaks the truth about today when it comes to human life and existence and the things we depend on. I thought about this after I fell in the water, and you know, I scrambled so hard to get out of that water, you know, so fast, like a bolt of lightning, almost like the sheriff were hitting me with a taser, you know. That's how fast I was trying to get out of the water, because I had something special in the right pocket. It was the iPhone. You know, and I just came up with this saying, this idea. These days, you never move so quickly out of the waters when you know that you have an iPhone in the pocket. Ain't that the honest to God truth? So why don't you do one of these before and after memes, you know? Why don't you do 19 falling in the water? How about this? And you have the characters dressed, you know, the same for the time period. So let's say you take a scene from like 1924 and you make a meme. You say 1924, falling in the water, 1924. Slipping and falling in the water, 1924. You know, you got the funky top hat on, that kind of thing. Whatever you call it, the press hat. They're dressed to the nines, you know, like it's 1924, like they just got out of church or something. Falling in the water, 1924. And you got a guy falling in the water in 1924, and he's just sitting there laughing at himself. Wife comes running to him. Are you okay, sweetie? And then you do the opposite. Falling in the water, 2024. And you already know what that's going to look like on video. You already know how emotional that's going to be. Falling in the water in 2024. You already know what that's going to look like. The contrast between the time periods, you know. You got falling in the water, 1924 versus falling in the water in 2024. If you have an iPhone in the pocket, you know, you're going to be jumping out of the water so quick. It's almost like there's an electric eel in the water in 2024 because you got that electrical device in the pocket you want to save. Man, that would be a funny one for real. I'm going ahead and keep going, man. Let's hope I don't fall in the water again today. Oh yeah, check this out. Never saw it last time I was out. At least they got some kind of energy effect out here with something like this. Oh, that's a cool little thing. That's old school for real. Look at it. You can tell because of the wheels, man. Is that Hot Wheels? I know it's got a date on it. I can't see it. It's probably 1970s, 1980s. I'm trying to use my eyes. It's got a date right after the copyright circle, the C in the circle. Don't tell me that thing says 2002 on that thing. I think it does. How could that be 2002 when it's got the typical early 80s wheels on it? And it's got some age to it. There's no way that can be 2002. Maybe I'm seeing the date wrong on the bottom. I think it says 2003 on it. There ain't no way though. All right, let me keep going. Good find for today. It's just a toy car in the creek with missing back wheels. Something about it when you find it in heavenly places versus finding it at a Goodwill. Nature makes everything more meaningful when it comes to recovery. Probably one of the most heavenly places you could ever imagine. And I'll do anything to always clean it up. At the very beginning, that is, because things always lead on to other places, you know. Good thing the bags didn't fall out of the pocket and go down the creek without us knowing. Always got that goal of at least 3 bags or more, you know. Let's hope it's going to be mostly plastic. Make it easier to get on out of here, you know. Is that a pretty form? There's a busted brick. Got to be careful, because if I do find that one thing or multiple things that I couldn't find the last couple of times out here that allow them to really show their true forces out here, you know. I got to be careful, because once I lay my hands on that thing and add it to the pocket, they're going to say, bingo, you got it. You better prepare. Rains are about to start falling further up the creek, and they're going to be flowing down here. This is one of them creeks that likes to get... I don't know how they didn't do that. I don't know. Look at that thing. That's cool. It's like Topo. It's like the ridge that they lived on, overlooking the valleys from all perspectives. Ancient times, you know, look at that. Look, that could be a neck. Could be a beard. Got the nose. Someone looks like they got eyeglasses. There's the hat right there. The head. I don't know about that though. Man, that's cool. Let me add this to the pocket. They're going to say, found it. We found it. Found what? I'm just saying. We knew you were going to find it today. That's why you came back out here. Yeah, look at that. 1960s. Probably 1940s. That tribulation coming up. Yeah, I almost cracked my drawers when I stepped up in this thing and saw this right here at that perspective, man. Check this out. I mean, if you saw this thing out of the corner of your eye when you were first stepping up in this thing, hold on. Let me wash my little rock off. It's not mine, it's theirs. That's cool right there. Someone's gonna scream out audio. That's Grandpapa. Grandma chiseled his head into a rock 1,400 years ago. Heck yeah. But when I saw that thing right there, I nearly cracked my drawers. But I know that's too good to be true. It's nothing though. It's too fat. I saw the edge on it. Look at that. Leaves hide some things. Man, look at that. Beautiful piece of thing right there. All right, let me add the little rock to the pocket. Don't recover much out here when it comes to the major things though. You know, the ancient stuff. I do every now and then. They always got us looking hardcore for everything we can find. But I think to them out here, I think the most important thing is the beauty of the place itself. That's why they just leave little trinkets around for us to recover. Trying to lead us to it all. That looks like a piece of quartz right here. Hold on. It's like it's banded. Well, it's quartz, all right. It's just a beautiful piece, you know. Yeah, but I think when it comes to some of these places, I think they want payback, you know, when it comes to us experiencing the beauty that it provides. I'm trying to understand that though. You know, that's the feeling that I get. The more I come to these places over the course of all these years, the more I get that feeling that they're waiting on some kind of trade. You know, either it's the spirit of the land or if it's the spirit of the ancients. You know, it's almost like we have to come out and offer something as a thank you. I don't know if they accept it in the form of cleaning, or if it's something else, If it's a bag of nuts, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure things out like that. I see something else that's white. Covered in some creek stain right here. Things can get jammed up in here. I found some pretty ones out here before. When it comes to the ancient pieces. Yeah, but the more I realize when it comes to certain creeks, I think some spirits, in order for us to give or get more or find more, we have to give off an offering. Like an offering or something like that, Give them something that they can use later. Maybe it's a pile of glass, What if it's a pile of my glass? The real pretty green stuff from the Coke bottles, whatever. And just set it out in gravel bars. And then the waters and the banging and stuff like that manipulates it. And they make knives and stuff. They're still making them. It could be anything. I don't know. It's not money. I know it's not money. But I think the reason that I'm starting to think like this is because I think I got a truth in one exploring session. Look, that thing still looks like a point with a busted tip. Yeah. But I think I got one of the truths that we're always looking for in one of my videos from back in January when I went out exploring when it was 28 degrees outside. And I was walking around, and that place turned out to be so paranormal. It's unbelievable. There's multiple of them out there, and someone said offering nothing. As if they kind of figured I was going to offer nothing. Like they saw me as a human being who was there to offer nothing. And it's the way they said it. It was like offering nothing. And after I heard that on audio at least 150 to 200 times, I was like, that kind of made me feel bad, It did. So I'm going to plan to go out there really soon. Place is kind of close to home. Kind of hard to get to, traffic and all. And I'm going to go out there with, maybe a crystal dish. And I'm going to go to the grocery store and get some bread, and find a dense spot within the wooded location about the river. And I'm going to offer it. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to say, I have an offering. You said I was offering nothing last time I came out. So today's the day. Here's my offering. You have offered us so much as far as your own words, your knowledge, and everything else in between when it came to your life. Thank you. So I'm going to plan to do that soon. Do an extra long EVP session. I bet they're going to be talking up like you would never believe. Oh boy, isn't that cool? Futuristic. Waters do expose something after all. For the future. You found it. It's amazing the powers of sight when it comes to, humans. Well, I found this little thing in the water, but it wasn't just in the water, it was covered up completely. I just saw a tiny little bit of white. I know it's busted Georgia boy style. It's usually what I find out here. But we should feel blessed whenever we're able to recover any kind of ancient history, that is. They're always like this out here. I found some real nice ones though. Fully intact. A couple of orange ones, a couple of brown ones, a couple of red ones that were fully intact. Yeah. But all I saw was a tiny little bit of white showing. Kind of like what you see in a couple of these things over here. And I said, when it's white, you got to take a look. And then it appeared. Cool. Probably late woodland. Early Mississippian, possibly. It's weird, though, on how time is in certain places, though. I don't get it, though. I mean, at that time in history, they were more developed. So why couldn't the artifacts been like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, shouldn't we be finding, like, stuff like this big, fully intact? Looks like it was made yesterday. I don't know. It just depends, man. But I still found some nice ones out here in the past. Let those times continue. I mean, I really got to get to cleaning though. This is taking a while, for real. It's another rock that looks like a fish. It is Sunday. Man, did they ever have some beautiful geology out in this place. I had to stop collecting it after a little while. You know, I was getting quite the stash of just rocks piling up. Wish I had that large Da Vinci pad, you know, house, whatever. Large yard. My garden would be off the chain. I would have just like, everything would just be specialized. You know that was a snake. Yeah, you know that was a snake right here. No questioning that. Maybe they could point me to where the artifacts are, even though I'm kind of really not looking, I'm just looking. Yeah, but I got a story to tell you. Another unbelievable event out here today when I first got here. I knew something was up with this. And it was like, I know what happened though. I know what it is. I know what it is. It's just Yeshua trying to tell me he's here. You know, that he's around. It's Sunday, of course. Go figure. And something like this always happens to me. And the guys always look exactly the same. They always look exactly the same, and they come out of nowhere. I'm trying to see if someone's going to be talking. Okay, so I was walking down through the woods. And I was in the woods probably at least about 600 or 800 feet from where I parked. And so I was looking around, and I noticed that I heard something behind me, and I thought it was like a dog or something, you know. And next thing you know, it was this guy coming down the woods out of nowhere. And it scared the heck out of me. I didn't know I was going to be robbed or what. And it was like the way he was coming out of the woods, it's like he blended in camouflage, but he was wearing all black. He was wearing all black. And you know what? The typical idea of what Yeshua looks like. All the paintings, all the drawings, whatever, we really don't know exactly what he looks like. We don't. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, hold up. Got one of these things again. Probably black on the other side, probably not. No black lines in that one. But let me tell you something. When I watched him come through the woods, it was like, I kind of seen it before, but when it comes to what we expect Yeshua to look like, long, kind of curly, kind of straight, dark hair, down to his shoulders, or then some, you know, depends on the weather, humidity or not, you know. And this guy came down, and he was like, hey, how's it going? And he just started talking out of nowhere. He was like, I'm new to Georgia. What kind of place is this? And I was like, it's a real heavenly place. And we just started talking for like 15 minutes. And the more I looked at him, the more he looked familiar, you know. What you would expect Yeshua to look like. And all the pictures, all the paintings, you know, a little bit different here and there. And I looked at him, I was like, oh crap. Another one of these situations going on. What a blessed day indeed. It's almost like I had Yeshua sitting there right in front of me. But he had a bunch of tattoos, a bunch of religious tattoos on his right arm. Barbed wire, thorns, and he had that typical cross right there on his wrist. And it kind of scared me. I mean, he was like asking all these questions about the woods and all this other stuff and places to go, that kind of thing. And we were just talking and stuff like that. And then off he went. He said, thank you very much. And we bumped fists. And then off he went. Disappeared. But it's the cross I'll never forget that was on his wrist. I'll never forget one of the first movies that I made. YouTube videos or one of my recordings or something like that back in like 2017. And I was talking about this dream that I had a long time ago. This recurring dream that I had. Like we're in some kind of spaceship or helicopter. We're being lowered down into this planet. And it's nothing but peaceful. Nothing but green. Nothing but heaven. And you would go up to people that you knew. And you would have this particular handshake where it looked like this, and these two fingers, middle finger and index finger, would touch that cross on the wrist, And I've been a little bit freaked out about that ever since, all day today. Not in a bad way, it's just a very spiritual happening on a Sunday. Probably ran into a representation of Yeshua once again, and yet another heavenly spot. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Yeah, I think I'm not going to be seeing the sun for the rest of the day. Possibly. What the heck is this thing? It's weird kind of geology. Well, it's just covered in mud. But that's the reason why you saw the little Ziploc bag I was having to dry it out from that time I fell in the water. Trying to prepare it to hold the iPhone. I think something's about to hit. I think I might have found what the spirit of land out here was trying to get me to recover. I'm not sure though. I don't know how far it's going to develop right now. Right behind us, came out of nowhere. Something is developing as I speak. The clouds just came to a complete stop. Right here. And the purple is starting to expand a little bit more. You can see how they're layered right on top of each other. How the levels of the darkness is like layered. It's just expanding like a growing tree. From one point out, it's just expanding right on top of us. And this is not the kind of place I need to be walking around in if the waters start rushing down here, because it is hardcore like a gutter. I don't know if I'm gonna get this cleaning session in or not, because that's still a little bit of ways to go. Man, has it ever been a while since I've seen something like this out here, especially in this gravel bar. When you see that white, it's time to get hype. I see something sticking out. I'm hoping that is not the tip, because that means the tip is busted. I think the tip is busted. I see micronapping on one little side. The quartz is always busted out here. Oh, it's a tiny one. It's busted tenfold, man. Man, I was hoping that was going to be my first intact piece out here in a while. Pretty little thing, though. Can't tell what's the top or the bottom. Georgia boy style, man. Might as well go ahead and add it to the pocket. Just because. I mean, look at that. What's the bottom? What's the top? Can't tell. Cool nonetheless. Manipulated by mankind. Heavenly. Well, I've finally been cleaning the rest of the day since about 3:30. Kind of made a mistake on the bags though. Instead of grabbing like the 32 gallons, I accidentally grabbed the 39 gallons. So you know these things are going to be weighing a lot. At least I'm filling these things up mostly on that one. I gotta leave enough space so I can grab that thing. Manhandle that thing through the wilderness. 2 miles back, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, mostly, to be honest with you, I came out here and cleaned, I think 3 weekends in a row out here last year and got everything out of here. I think upwards about maybe 12 bags, 12 32-gallon bags. Clean the landscape real nice, But that's what I mean. It's like when you go all out the first go around, it's not going to be that bad the next time you come out, even a year later. I mean, this is a fraction of what we got out here last year in this place. But mostly like the real big bad stuff, you know, silt fences that had been hanging on to tree trunks for like 11 years, big tarps, that kind of thing, a ton of aluminum cans, plastic bottles, and that. Yeah, we're getting this thing done right today again. I'm going to get about 2.5 bags, got one more left. Going to fill this thing up. Only got about another couple hundred feet to go up in this heavenly spot. Welcome to heaven. "6:30. Plenty of time to get out of here and just relax for about an hour, you know, Sunday night. It's always 6 o'clock on a Sunday night, man. Like it's got to have time to get up and go to work tomorrow, you know. Thank you for the job, though. It'd be nice to be retired at this age and just go out and, you know, chill and clean, you know, do whatever. Ain't nothing like getting your hands dirty. It's the first thing I said when I rolled up in a place like this earlier today. Let's get the hands dirty today. I'm a little bit worried at the moment, though, but in a good way. Got a little bit of some personal anxiety happening. Well, I'm 2 miles from the parking location. I got to lug 2 45-pound bags all the way back that have water and stuff in them, you know, from all the stuff. But there's thunder on the horizon down the creek, which is good. I can see it getting dark. Not going to have much of a sunset. There's the last beam of light for us today. And there she goes. Thank you for the perfect heavenly day. I did everything that I planned to do today. Heck yeah. Every last bit, once again. But the one thing I'm worried about is that some of the things that I got out, it's almost like they were in the same area, stuck in the same spot. You can tell for at least a year and a half to 2 years. And I couldn't get them out last time, but I did today. So what's going to happen now? That's the question. We'll find out later what they have planned for this place. Winds are picking up. Let me go ahead and make my way out of here. See you later. I already know. What a game.